Chet Chat is underwritten by Massage Envy, Bella Doggy Resort Spa for Dogs, and the law offices of John J. Sullivan.
Hi, I'm Chet Porcho of Chet Porcho Design, and welcome to another exciting episode of Chet Chat. This month on Chet Chat, we're in the middle of the dog days of August. Our previous episodes, we've talked about interiors and exteriors. Today's episode, we're inviting some very special family members to the show. That's right, we're referring to dogs. We'll be talking about pampering and grooming of your dogs. We'll take you to a very special place where dogs can go and basically let their ears down. We'll also have with us the official artists of the crew of Barkus and our ever-trendy DIY segment where we'll show you some grooming techniques. But first, we'll talk to Tracy of Orono, which is a local nonprofit that has been rescuing dogs since Hurricane Katrina. So welcome to Chet Chat. Thanks for joining us. Let's get barking. Post-Hurricane Katrina, we've heard of many residents of the New Orleans area that were affected by the storm. As we are aware of the continuous rebuilding efforts of the residents and businesses, often overlooked is the animals affected. Today we have Tracy of Orono, which is the Animal Rescue New Orleans. Orono is a nonprofit that has been rescuing animals since the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. My good friend Tracy, thank you for being here today.
Hi, Chet. Thanks for having us.
So what exactly is the mission of Orono, and how was Orono formed?
Orono was formed after Hurricane Katrina. Out-of-town rescuers came in to help with the displaced, abandoned, homeless animals that were left after the storm. In October of 2005, Orono was formed. And then in February of 2006, it was taken over by locals. Our director is Charlotte Bass-Lilly. And in February of 2006, we started our no-kill triage shelter. It's in the Elmwood area, and our mission has and still is to just be to help the animals displaced, homeless, abandoned, neglected, abused, to help them find loving forever homes, and to also help people in the community that maybe need help with vet care or food if they're going through hard times, to help them keep their animals and not have to give them up to shelters because they can't afford to take care of them, at certain times.
Well, that's important, because before we went on, we were talking about this cute little animal, little dog you have here, and you were telling me that he's up for adoption because his family really couldn't take care of him anymore. Tell me a little bit about his story, and if somebody really wanted to adopt him, how would they go about doing that?
This is Archie, and Archie is a miniature pinscher mix.
Hey, Archie.
And Archie's family was having a new baby, so they decided that they could not care for Archie anymore. So Archie's a little confused because he's used to having a home and being inside, and now he's in the shelter environment. We have several dogs up for adoption of all shapes, sizes, ages, from puppies to seniors. We have something for everyone. And anyone who's interested in adopting Archie or any one of our animals can go to our website, animalrescueneworleans.org, and they can see some of them there. They're not all on the shelter, so they can also come to the shelter, which our public hours are 3 p.m. to 7 p.m., 7 days a week, holidays, weekends. We're open 365 days a year.
And how has Orono made an impact after Hurricane Katrina for the city of New Orleans?
To date, we have had over 6,700 animals come through our triage shelter. So we have helped find them homes. We work with organizations across the country. We also work, we partner with the local shelters and the Louisiana SPCA. We work with them as well, so that every time an animal is adopted from us, that makes room for another one to come in off the streets or out of one of the local shelters, because we are a no-kill shelter, so they stay with us until they get adopted. And we are a limited intake shelter, though, because we are 100% volunteer run, and we are also run 100% on donations.
Wow.
So it's really does take a community effort to keep us going, and and we definitely need volunteers, always need volunteers.
I know you are a superstar at volunteering at Orono. I know previously that you volunteer every Sunday. What made you want to get involved in the mission of actually giving back to Orono and to the city by getting involved in this?
I was one of probably like a lot of people who didn't really know about animal rescue, and it just so happened that a homeless dog showed up in my front yard that I wouldn't let me catch it. I was feeding him. He wouldn't let me. I didn't know what to do. And one day, I was in grad school at the time. I came home, and a girl was in my front yard trying to feed it, and she was an Arno volunteer. And so she told me about Arno. And I went to their website. I went over to the shelter, and I decided that I wanted to, you know, after writing a thesis and working 3 part-time jobs to get through grad school, that I wanted to volunteer. So I did. After I graduated, got settled in my profession, I started in August of 2007 and have been a volunteer ever since. And I was a regular lead Sunday volunteer up until I have a new baby. So my role has changed, thank you. But I help with their, you know, social media and adoption events, and I still go and, you know, volunteer actually doing shelter work, walking dogs, cleaning cages, things like that, you know, whenever I can.
And so you volunteer every Sunday. I know that for a fact.
I used to be there every Sunday, rain or shine, Mother's Day, whatever it was. Can't go quite as often now because of the little one, but I still do. I'm very involved with their social media and you know, events and things like that, and I do still go, you know, get my hands dirty when I can, but because I mean, how can you resist?
Exactly. You know, that brings me to a good topic. You said you have a little one. Do you think it's important to get kids involved in like Orno, which is the animal shelter, you know, showing kids how important it is to give back, especially to the animal community? Because I think a lot of times we forget about, you know, that if you start kids off by doing something, kind of takes them with them, you know, throughout their life. So do you think it's important that we do that?
We do. We do have a program where high school students who are doing their community service hours, they can do their community service hours at Arno, and a lot do. And a lot of colleges do an alternative spring break where they come here, and they'll come. Boston University has come. Schools from Miami, Colorado will come, and they're repeat. They come every year and spend a week volunteering at Arno. We do. Our volunteers start around age 15, just for safety purposes. Because, you know, these are animals. Some of our animals are sick, and some of them are going through treatments for different things. So, you know, we don't like to have small children just for safety of the animals and safety of the children. But there are other ways that young children can get involved. When we have our off-site adoption events, they can come help with that. And some of them will, you know, do little penny collections or whatever at their schools and stuff like that. Some like pick an animal that they kind of sponsor that's their, you know, dog that they're doing stuff for, buying treats, bringing them toys, stuff like that until they get adopted. So there are things that young ones can do. But I think parents really set the example whenever their children see that they're involved in an organization like this. And, you know, just I think it needs to start from early on that these are members of the family. These are not disposable, you know, objects. These are members of the family who have feelings and who, you know, deserve a part in the, you know, they deserve a place on the sofa right next to you.
Exactly. Well, I know that Arno is very happy and proud of all the stuff that you guys do volunteering, but so are we, you know, as people of the city of New Orleans. And thank you so much for being on the Chet Chat show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. And I just wanted to say that we have volunteer hours, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 7 days a week. So anyone who wants to volunteer can go to our website to fill out a volunteer form. And again, it's animalrescueneworleans.org. And we also have a very active Facebook page, and it's facebook.com/animalrescueneworleans.
Well, perfect. We'll check that out.
Thank you.
NOLA City Bark is the first dog park for the New Orleans metropolitan area. This premier dog park especially caters to your dog's recreational needs. We're excited to have Jackie Shreves, who sits on the board of NOLA City Bark. Jackie, thank you so much for being here today with me.
I'm delighted to be here.
So tell me exactly, what is NOLA City Bark?
Well, NOLA City Bark is the first official dog park in the metropolitan area, and I say official because there are a number of other areas in the city where people will go and they'll let their dogs off leash, but they're not fenced in. They don't provide the services that we provide. So this really is the experimental one in the city that opened up.
How long have you been at NOLA City Bark?
We opened March of 2009. So March 2010. So we're just a little over a year old.
And what exactly, when I just heard you say that there's other areas around town that has, you know, like dog parks, but you're the official one. What makes you guys an official dog recreation area?
We're sanctioned by the city. You know, we have an agreement with the city that we can be off leash. We have rules and regulations that always for the safety of the the pets and for the owners.
Right.
We provide water. We have doggy wash stations.
Okay.
We have a doggy fountain for them to play in, double gated. So it's really more the safety features I think that we provide. For whereas when you just take your dog off leash, say at the levee
Right.
or in some other someplace else, there's a lot of things that can go wrong, and so the fact that we are actually sanctioned by the city, we're and in City Park, that makes it a real big difference.
What inspired you to get involved in NOLA City Park?
Prior to Katrina, it's before and after Katrina,
Right.
the LASPCA and City Park had an agreement that the SPCA would open a dog park and an adoption center.
Sure.
That fell through because of the destruction both of the park and the shelter. But it was in our master plan, and I'm involved with City Park and went to Bob Becker, who's executive director, and said, would it be possible if we could still do it? And he said, yes, but you've got to figure out how to fund it
Right.
and how to operate it. The land is there, the park, and it's New Orleans City Park's dog park.
Right.
But we are the nonprofit associated with it that decided that we would pitch in, raise the money, and help City Park, run it. So.
I've seen City Park go through, kind of like a camellia, I guess you would kind of say, before Hurricane Katrina, then after Hurricane Katrina, it went through a bad time, and it seems to be coming back now. And I think I think part of it has to do with NOLA City Park. It's an amazing facility. I've been there. I've seen it. Do you charge to get into the park, or is it free for anybody to go?
And that's a good question. Part of the deal with opening it was finding a way to operate it. The park receives no operating funds, and people are really surprised to hear that a 1,300-acre park really has no millage, no sustaining operating funds. And
that's shocking.
It's shocking. So in order to really operate this and to keep it nice, if we were going to build a first-class park, we wanted to keep it looking nice, we had to figure out how to do it. And so we do charge $35 for an annual permit. It's pretty nominal. We felt like we didn't want to keep anybody out of the park.
Right.
In fact, we even have scholarships if that would be needed. And so that $35 does a number of things. It gives us operating funds, but it also makes sure that we have another rule that they have to be spay and neutered.
Oh, that's good.
Allows us to enforce that, and that the dog has to be up to date on shots. And so it also gives the permit holders some ownership of that dog park, so that they will help us take care of it.
Yep. And you have some exciting news. You guys have a big fundraiser that's coming up. Tell us about it.
So one of the things that, in order to keep us as the premier dog park, that we are lacking, and our permit holders tell us this all the time, is lighting and irrigation. And lighting, obviously, because in the winter months, when people after work, they want to bring their dogs at 5:30 it's dark. And so we really want to put lighting in. And so we're having a fundraiser, 101 donations that is coming up on August 20th. It's also going to fund the irrigation when we had the drought in June, and our permit holders were schlepping hoses and all over the park trying to water, which they did a wonderful job. But it's really a formidable task, and so we want to put irrigation in, and then lighting. So that's what the fundraiser, which is 101 donations, is for. And so I brought a little sample of what, if you go to the dog park, you're going to see these cute little Dalmatian dogs hanging on the fence, and that each one is named, and that means that someone has sponsored that dog, or they've bought a bone, and we're going to hang them on the fence. And so this is Mozart, the Lionheart. That belongs to somebody's dog, and this one is waiting to be named. And so for different levels of sponsors, to purchase a dog is $1,000. To purchase the bone is $500, and then to come to the event is $101.
$101. That's really great.
But there's food, there's drink, there's a band. We've got Barbecue and the Summertime Blues. We've got another little group called the Fleas that will play early on. And we're all about having fun.
I see that.
It's a black and white night, in keeping with our theme of a Dalmatian, and we're hoping that the public will support it.
I think they will. I think they will.
And I'd like to add also, we have received national recognition from Park and Recreation magazine as being one of the top 6 dog parks in the country. Susan Stecky, who wrote How to Build a Dog Park nationally, it's a national book on how to do it, has cited our dog park as being a 5-paw.
Okay.
And a lot of it for the safety features and other things that we have in the dog park. So.
Well, listen, thank you so much for being on the Chet
Okay.
Chat Show, and thank you for what you're doing at NOLA City Park. I think that's one of the things that we really need in this city, and I really appreciate you guys doing that for us.
Thank you for having us.
Our next guest is Matt Renard of Gallery Renard. He is a local artist and the official artist of the crew of Barkus. Matt, thank you so much for being here today.
Absolutely.
How did you get started by painting such vivid colors, and especially like animals and dogs and stuff?
It all started with, I guess, my father's disapproval. I would show him things and see what he said, and this was the first thing that he really didn't care for, and then this was quite successful.
So this was your rebellious stage. You actually was doing this to get back at your dad.
Defy my dad.
And what made you decide to like paint animals and dogs? Are you obviously you're a dog lover, because as you can see, you bought us some really great pieces here of different types of animals. You know, what draws you to this?
I like the to paint them in kind of human form. I do a lot of work with Barkus and the SPCA, and everybody I think can relate to the animals, especially with all the pet owners we have today, and so it translates well to the medium I use.
Okay, so Barkus is a huge thing here. It's it's the Mardi Gras parade for dogs. Can you tell us your connection to Barkus, and how did you get kind of into that?
It started in 1998, Titanic, which was the spoof on, Titanic.
Titanic,
And that was I did the official poster, and I've been doing it every year since then. And each year we kind of run into the theme of a blockbuster movie, Bat Mud,
right,
or Saturday Bite Fever. And we play on that. We've done Harry Potter, and so this upcoming year, that's always the big task, is trying to come up with a theme.
So I do interior design work, and I also do interior decorating. How would you say that you are able to tie in your work with interior design work and other artists that may be in someone's home?
I generally play on the theme of, buy what you like. I always have a very broad palette and bright colors. And so with New Orleans and the Jazz Fest posters, people have a tendency to favor bright colors. And you go into a lot of places, maybe the Midwest, and everything is subdued, and they're kind of intimidated by color. And so for the New Orleans area, even though we have a lot of the architecture, it seems very old, you go around in a lot of the homes uptown, and they have a very eclectic collection. And so it ties in well with the city and their philosophy on interior design.
What's next for your work?
Right now we're doing a product line for a number of different catalogs.
Oh, good.
And so we're doing clocks and also a lot of dog toys that are dog specific, with a company called Fetch. Glenn Close is kind of the money behind that. And we'll do that, and also we're working on these kiosks in airports for gifts for dogs. Most people are buying for their children. We're doing it for their pets. So that's the thing I'm working on right now.
So where can we go to find your work, and is it available online? Can we buy it online?
You can go to galleryrenard.com or mattrenard.com. And then I have a gallery at 738 Royal Street, and that's right next to the cathedral.
Okay.
And there's different galleries across the country that carry my work in Las Vegas, California. So
before we wrap this up, I just have to ask, it seems like your work is really beautiful, but there's a little bit of like comic book, twist to it. Is that something that you grew up with, liking comic books, or is this something that you kind of, let your childhood side come out, or, Is that what I'm seeing in this?
Yeah, I think it's just the whimsical nature. Everything's kind of off the cuff. I get a lot of first-time art buyers. They're not. They're so intimidated by art to begin with, so they're buying what they like.
Right.
And they're doing it because they're laughing, or you know, they like the colors, and so they're not buying it necessarily to match their sofa, which so many people buy these horrible things. They don't know the artist. It's just something that goes into their house, and it's pitiful, you know. So hopefully, you know, when people buy that, they have some reference to the city of New Orleans, and it's a feel-good experience.
Well, I love your work, and once again, thank you for being a part of the New Orleans tradition and being a part of Barkus, and thank you for being on the Chet Chat Show. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me. Take care.
You're welcome. This is the part of the Chet Chat Show that we all love. It's the DIY, the do-it-yourself part of the show. And today we have Belladonna Spa, which aids in balancing, restoring treatments, and nourishing the entire person, body, mind, and spirit. But wouldn't it be great if you could have the same treatment for your dogs? Today we have Kim Dudak, the owner of Bella Doggy, and she will give us some information about Bella Doggy and tell us about the techniques and stuff that they use at Bella Doggy. Kim, thank you so much for being here today.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having us.
Well, you know, I love Belladonna. I was there yesterday.
Long history.
Yes, I love having a massage. And what a brilliant concept that you can actually give massages to your dogs. How did you come up with that idea?
Well, it wasn't necessarily my idea, because it's been around for quite a while. But really what at Bella Doggy, we have several different areas of services, and the massage services fall actually under our rehabilitation services because they need to be supervised by a veterinarian.
Okay.
So we have our rehabilitation services, which is done by the staff at Dag's house, who are in-house at Bella Doggy.
Okay.
And in that sense, we have the underwater treadmill, the endless swim pool. We actually have an outdoor in-ground pool that allows dogs. It's really been amazing to see how dogs who are unable to walk on land can get into a pool of water and really strengthen themselves, let alone how I'm doing with my exercise in the pool as well. It's been really great. But then we also have our spa, which Limati here is the spa manager. And what we did, we took a lot of the services at Belladonna and brought, working with a friend of mine who has actually worked in veterinarian dermatology, because dog skins are different than ours.
Absolutely.
They breathe different, they have a different pH, there's a whole lot of differences. So we took some of the treatments that we knew worked for humans and translated it into the dog world. And working with Limati and several other people in the dog world, developed similar services that we have at Belladonna for dogs, focusing on some of the issues that we see constantly coming in to the spa. And Limati could probably address some of those, but you know, we see hot spots, and we see dry skin, and we see itchy, irritated skin, things like that. So a lot of our spa services, using seaweeds and muds and sugar scrubs, and we similar things that we use in humans, we've translated it into dog. And you know, when I first started doing it, I thought, I don't even know if this is going to work. You know, like even Limati was like, okay, I got to see a dog with seaweed on him. And it's amazing. They actually respond faster than humans do in relaxing.
Really?
And Ranger here.
Yeah, he's a prime example of that, right?
He doesn't have his seaweed on today, but the first time we did him, we actually, on our Facebook page, you can see pictures of him with paraffin on his paws and the seaweed on him, and he was like passed out. And it really, he has issues with dry, itchy skin. He's a very active dog, and so he gets dry, itchy spots and things. So it really has helped his skin to have these spa services.
So I know Belladonna's on Magazine Street. Where is Bella Doggy located?
Bella Doggy is located not far from Belladonna. It's on Washington Avenue at Annunciation.
Okay. And Limati, you are the manager of Bella Doggy, and you bought a dog with you today, and you're going to show us some of the things and some of the services that you guys provide at Bella Doggy. And who do we have here today?
This is Cotton.
Cotton. And tell me a little bit about, you know, what exactly the services that you guys do at Bella Doggy. You want to show us some techniques? This is the DIY segment, so maybe you can show us a couple of things that, you know, we can do on our own.
Okay, yeah, I was just going to show basically how to brush the dog.
And there's a proper technique with doing that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We see a lot of people saying, I brush my dog and he's still matted.
Right.
And it's because they're just brushing the coat and not underneath. And they're not dividing it in segments. They're just like brushing the top part and that's it. And
so show us what you got. Show us how the proper way, how the pros do it.
Okay, the first thing you need to get is like a good brush, the actual brush depending on the coat. For this dog, since he has a thinner coat, we can use a pin brush. This will not scratch the skin if you're gonna brush them daily.
And you should brush your dog daily, right?
It just depends on the type of coat.
Okay.
Yeah, and you would know, like this is a slicker brush. You would not use this daily unless they're matted or have a thicker coat. So in this case, we can use this one and we can just like divide, you know, brush the lower part and keep brushing.
So there is a technique to that.
Yeah, in a longer coat, you can actually see it better, but you can just, you know. And if you wanted to add volume,
you brush it the opposite way.
Yeah, you brush it the opposite way, and you can use styling products too.
So do most dogs like to get brushed, or is that something that is like you have to develop this relationship kind of with your, like you do with your hairdresser?
Start early.
It's very similar.
You have to start early when they're puppies, get them used to. Grooming time is not necessarily playing time, so they should not be jumping around and. So you kind of like have to let them get used to standing still and, you know, letting you do it. Usually they don't like the face and they get a lot of tangles behind their ears because the owners just don't want to, oh, he tries to bite me, and you just need to say like, I'm the boss and you need to get brushed.
You need to get brushed, exactly. So Kim, tell us, you have a grand opening or something that's coming up really soon?
We do. We're so excited about it. On August 19th, we're having sort of an open house where it's sort of comfort food and comfort music, and it's an open house from 6 to 9 at Bella Doggy. It's for humans, and we'll be doing demonstrations of our underwater treadmill, demonstrations in the grooming area, and we have a huge retail area in which we have everything from these fabulous brushes that Lamati has been using to lovely skin products for the dogs, and foods, and we have a lot of people who are very invested in getting people's dogs on the proper food, because a lot of times the problems that Lamati sees in the grooming and the spa area actually are based out of what foods they're being fed.
Gotcha.
So anyway, the grand opening on August 19th from 6 to 9. It's an open house. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have music and great food, and food that, we're having hot dogs.
Right.
And we're having a cocktail that is called the Doggone It.
Doggone It.
And and then Saturday, we have invited Faith, and Faith is a dog that I had met at some other of the dog product shows, and she was actually born with some deformities in her front limbs. So she actually has been taught by her owner to walk upright like a human.
Wow. And
she is just one of the most amazing dogs. And so we have invited her down to be our Grand Marshal on Saturday, August 20th, leaving from Belladonna at 9:45. We're going to second line with Irvin Mayfield. And we're going to second line down to Bella Doggy. And we invite dogs, humans, people are costuming, the dogs are costuming. And we're going to march down to Bella Doggy, and then we're going to have brunch with Faith. And that's sort of an open house for people and their dogs. So you can bring your dogs, you can, the pool will be available, we'll be doing demonstrations there. And again, just so that people can have time with their dogs at Bella Doggy.
Well, thank you guys so much for being here. And for more information, you can go to my blog at chetportshowdesign.com, and we'll be right back, guys. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Chet Chat. Today we've learned that the dog house is just as important as the main house. We've even learned how to incorporate dogs in our home decor. So for more information on today's show, you can visit my website at chetportshowdesign.com and then click on my blog. I'd like to thank all of my guests for joining me today. So next month on Chet Chat, we will be featuring the Arthritis Foundation. So please join me again. I'm Chet Porchot, and I've got designs on New Orleans.
Chet Chat is underwritten by Massage Envy, Bella Doggy Resort Spa for Dogs, and the law offices of John J. Sullivan.